We are live on Proline TV, the Ourlads Football Network, talking some college football, and we're talking about the ACC, the Clemson Tigers. So whenever we do that, we bring in Phil Kornblut. Phil, how's it going?
Going great. Happy football season to you.
Oh, yeah. This is the best time of year to have an interview like this. This is usually when we do. Hopefully, we'll be able to do more during the season like we did last season. Of course, we had some we had a playoff preview, and I don't know, the way this team's looking, I think we might have multiple playoff preview shows this season.
Well, entirely possible around here. I mean, you're talking about two teams ranked in the top 15, Clemson and South Carolina, with Clemson, of course, ranked as high as number 4, and there's heavy optimism both ways going into the season, and obviously because they both have star quarterbacks. They both have some question marks as they head towards the end of camp and start preparations for their season openers, but they look good on paper. Both of these teams do. I mean, obviously Clemson's route a little bit softer than South Carolina's route through the SEC once again, but there's no getting around that. You're in the SEC, so you're going to have that every year, and Clemson is where it is. So they do open up and close with SEC teams. So we'll see what kind of meat they have in the middle of that sandwich.
One of the main reasons that a lot of people believe, including myself, I actually we did our first preview. I think it was 2 weeks ago, and of course, I can still change my mind. I've got a few days, but I'm not sure I'm going to do that. And I picked Clemson to win the national championship. I just think that, and I think there are a lot of other people who like Clemson as well. I don't know about whether or not they're picking them to win the national championship, but main reason why most people like Clemson is because of all this returning experience they have, which is very important today in the day we're living in with the transfers. And if you can bring back quality players, quality experienced players like Clemson has, you got an edge. And they're already a well-coached team. We know that. And then you throw in the fact that they got one of the best quarterbacks in college football too, and they're going to be battle tested. And there's no reason to think that they can't have a really special season and maybe win their third title under Dabo.
Yet they could lose to LSU in their opener, but still win the national championship. You know, that's how we've pretty much deflated the regular season in college football, and it will be deflated even more if the Big Ten has their way. But anyway, you're right. Everything you said is pretty much on target. They do return a great number of their players, especially on the offensive side. And they added a good-looking receiver in the transfer portal in Tristan Smith. They've got the other receivers returning, Wesco and T.J. Smith. And they get Tyler Brown back off the injured list. They have Antonio Williams. They're loaded there. You know about Klubnik. Now, there are some questions, however. Running back situation where they took Adam Randall and they moved him from wide receiver to running back. He had a little bit of an ankle injury. I'm sorry. I think it was more of a knee. Had a little bit of a knee about a week or so ago coming out of a scrimmage, but he seems to be okay. He's going to be your top running back, and we'll see how well he handles that transition. They say he's fine. They say he does a great job. You did see him in the playoff game. Interesting that, you know, they in the ACC championship game, when they beat SMU, they lost their one of their top running backs in Jay Haynes to a knee injury. They were already down a running back. In that game, Randall returned a kickoff that set up the winning field goal and showed a lot of moves that people didn't know he had. And and I think from that is where they got the idea. Well, you know what? Maybe he can play running back for us. And they worked him out there during playoff prep when they went to Texas, and he did a good job. And he became the full-time running back in the spring. So that's an experiment. We'll see how it works out. Up front, they've got everybody back on the offensive line, which generally speaking is a good thing. Walker Parks did suffer an injury in their scrimmage, not this most recent scrimmage. He didn't scrimmage, the one before.
Okay.
So he has been out at right guard. And so Dabo Swinney said he will be fine. He's not expecting him to miss the LSU game.
Okay.
But if he is out, what they will do is probably take Harris Sewell and plug him in at right guard, have Colin Sadler at left guard. Now, Sadler is a guy that has a history of injuries, and how much you can depend on him just remains to be seen. Lee is solid at the left tackle, and the right tackle is Miller. So those positions are solid, and they got solid backups as well. So, but there is that question mark at right guard in particular right now. So running back, right guard, kind of a question mark. Tight ends look solid. Same guys are back.
Who do they have a clear number one with Burningstool out? Gone?
Yeah. Olsen Pat Henry is going to be the starting quarterback.
Okay.
Olsen Pat Henry, backed up by Josh Sapp. Now, Pat Henry's been dealing with a little bit of injury as well that has given Sapp a lot more work in camp, and he's done well. And they love Christian Bittencourt also. So those are three solid. They had a little issue off the field with the tight end over the weekend, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Former basketball player got into a little bit of trouble with a DUI, pulled over by the Clemson police, talking about Shefflin here. So he's not going to be available for who knows how long. Sweeney said they'll hold him out of early competition. So, but he wasn't expected to be a major contributor anyway. So that's all good. And place kicking is good. They've got a place kicker with a good, strong leg, of course. So
what was up with all the blocks last year?
They had trouble on the edges. They had blocking issues, either their scheme or their personnel. They spent a lot of time understanding camp, getting the right people on the field goal protection team and the punt protection team to make sure that they're knocking people. I guess guys were getting straight shots to the kickers and were blocking kicks. It became a joke for them. Speaking of that, and one of the reasons why, you have to think about these things. They have not solved their punting situation, and Sweeney did not take a punter from the portal.
Okay.
And so the punting situation remains up in the air going into this week. So and from what I've read, I haven't seen it myself. You got Jack Smith is supposed to be the guy, and apparently not very impressive in camp. Not only do they not have a number one punter, but the punting has not been very impressive from what we understand. So,
okay.
I mean, that in tight ball games where you're leaning heavily on your defense, I mean, punting can be crucial, flipping the field and pinning teams back. Now we'll see what happens. This guy could turn out to be tremendous. So that would be another area of concern. So you throw that in there along with running back and the right guard situation. They got a few question marks right there before you turn your attention to defense.
Yeah, and the defense, again, loaded with returning talent, especially up front, with TJ Parker at the edge and Peter Woods at tackle. I mean, these two are the top players at their positions, respective positions in all of college football. They added the transfer from Purdue, Helt. Do you think that we have him as a starter here? Is that the case? Is Helt going to start? And is he the top transfer? Because I don't know, they only brought in, I think, 3.
He is on the defensive side. He is the top well, and Jeremiah Alexander as well. And they love him. They think he's been fantastic. Keep an eye on Jaheim Lawson. He has that's Shaq Lawson's little brother, and he has really he's much that picture you're showing. He's probably twice that size. He's really put on size.
He needed it. Yeah.
Yeah. He was like 185 pounds, 200 pounds coming out of Daniel High School. Yeah. He's really put on the weight and he's really impressed in camp. So he and helped. One of those will be 1A, 1B. He's going to play a lot. Of course, TJ Parker on the other side it was fantastic last year. I think 11 and a half sacks. So you can expect another big year. They moved Peter Woods inside, and that's his natural position. He's put back on. His weight is appropriate for where he's going to be playing. His speed, his quickness. He's going to be a handful. Capehart is a little bit of a question mark. He's had an up and down career at Clemson, and this will be his first opportunity to be the guy. But you might see Amir Adams, the freshman, has had a really good camp. And if Capehart doesn't handle his business, you could see Adams slide up in there. Stephon Green is another one they've been very high on. Heaven Brown Schuler is another one who's had a really good camp. I mean, they're, Vic Burley, they've got, they're really three, 4 deep at both of those positions as far as rotating guys in and out. Linebacker Sammy Brown and Wade Woodaz will be your starters. Brown gives them a tenacious linebacker, excellent speed as a freshman last year. He was fantastic. And of course, Woodaz is a chiseled old veteran. I mentioned Alexander is a guy that's come in and had an impact right away. And then the one question mark in their secondary, their corners look outstanding with Hampton and Terrell. They look really good. There is one question at the safety position with whether it's going to be really a kind of both safety positions. Is it going to be a Griffin? Is it going to be Barnes? Ricardo Jones has had some moments in camp where he's been getting some strong looks. Barnes has had a bit of an injury.
Okay.
Early part of the camp. I think here recently he's gotten healthy and has gotten back out there. So they're a little bit in flux there at the safety position. You got Shelton Lewis locked in at the nickel position, and of course he could slide over and play some safety if necessary. Tink Kelly is you have him there as by his given name, but his nickname is Tink. He's another one from Daniel, and he's had a good camp and has been getting some mention from Dabo Swinney. So keep an eye on him because he's he came there as a wide receiver, and they moved him to the secondary, and apparently he's done well there. So
okay,
so defense looks very solid, except for I'd say the safety spots still need to be firmed up and determined here going into the game.
Okay. So let's get on some of these things then. You mentioned Amari Adams is looking good. So, and he was the 5-star. So he was the big guy coming in as far as true freshman. So he's showing that that's no fluke there. Is that the case? We're going to see playing time. You think it's possible that he's going to play all season?
Yes, I do think so. I think you're going to see him in the rotation. He's a good player. He was a good player in high school, and they knew what they were getting in him. Same thing with Heaven Brown Schuler, that from the previous class, that he was such a highly touted defensive tackle. And I think he got a little sniff of playing time some last year, redshirted. So he'll have a chance to contribute in a major way. Again, they're deep at defensive tackle. Now, some of these guys, like those two I mentioned, we haven't seen that much from Champ Thompson. We haven't seen all that much from Stephon Green. They're going to get their chance going into this season with the rotation the way it's going to be, assuming they're able to take some of these frontline guys out and work in some of the depth. I think you're going to see more of these guys moving forward this season.
So as far as the depth guys at defensive tackle, Adams and Brown Schuler, you think those are the two guys that we really should keep on the most?
Well, again, I think Vic Burley is going to be heavily in the mix as well. Yeah. And I think Stephon Green is another one. I'm just going by what we're told by Dabo Swinney at his press briefings, who are guys he's naming it. But he names all these guys. All these guys have gotten mentions as standing out at one point or another in practices and in scrimmages. So you could see any kind of a mix, but I mean, I think you're pretty much set on your starters. I think you're in pretty good shape with Adams and Burley as your number 2s. But then again, don't be surprised if you see Green or Thompson slide up in there and get significant snaps.
Okay. All right. So and I know you mentioned the safeties, that might be something to keep an eye on, but overall, as far as the defense is concerned, what is there anything in particular that you think they have to do better than they did last year to be a championship team?
Well, first of all, they replaced their defensive coordinator with Tom Allen, and Tom Allen has brought an entire new level of intensity. He's brought a Brent Venables level of intensity. He's brought a Brent Venables style of coaching. Now, what they've done here, he came in as linebackers coach, and defensive coordinator, but Ben Boulware has taken over the linebackers, their former great linebacker.
Oh yeah.
So they moved him. They kind of let Allen just handle everything and oversee everything, and let Boulware focus on coaching the linebackers. So really, Ben Boulware is your linebackers coach, and Allen is overseeing everything. And just the defensive players, they love him. They say the energy at which he coaches, the energy that he has brought to the practice field, they just love it. So, and he's a smart guy. They had some tactical errors last year. I think if you go back and look and listen to people, and they had a relatively young, inexperienced defensive coordinator that Dabo Swinney, as he tends to do, promoted from within his program, thinking that when Venables left, that this was going to be a good fit and going to work out. But after last year, especially the demise against South Carolina, where, they will tell you they had wrong personnel on the field when Lenore Sellers broke off that iconic touchdown run to win the game. They didn't have they were too light. They didn't have linebackers on the field. They had safeties on whatever the case may be. They just weren't aligned properly. And of course, they had trouble stopping the run last year. They had trouble. Citadel rushed for about 300 yards on them. Louisville moved the ball up and down the field on them. South Carolina ran the ball up and down the field. They had trouble stopping the run. So they feel like Tom Allen is the man to fix all that, and has done that in this camp. Let me say this about Clemson. You talk about them win the national championship and all that, and it's fine to say that. It's a decent thought, and it's good conversation. But I tell people here, and I have to tell you, that this is basically the same team they had last year. And that team last year played 3 SEC teams. They played Georgia, they played South Carolina, they played Texas. I only bring up SEC because if you're going to win the national championship, you got to be able to handle the SEC.
Sure, at some point.
In those 3 games, they only averaged 14 points per game against 3 SEC teams. So the question is, can you expect Clemson to be that much better this year? Are they built for the SEC, or are they built for the ACC?
The thing that I tell you right now, and I think that's a great point, no question about it. And the reason why I'm a little bit more optimistic about it is like I said at the open, when I look at all these, like you just said, there's so much turnover from those teams that Clemson doesn't have that turnover. Yes, they got to be better than they were last year, but that's expected because you've got another year in the system. The players that were good will hopefully even be better. Klubnik is one of them. They didn't have a running game, as you said, in those key games, especially in the playoff game. They had nothing, as you know. They didn't get anything out of the running game. Now, we don't know if they're going to get anything in the running game this year, but we hope they got the whole season to find someone. So that's kind of the way I look at it, is that I think that they're going to have a little bit of an edge because of everybody coming back. But I think you hit it on the head when you said, can they beat SEC teams? Because again, these teams will be SEC teams again that they're going to face, but it's just going to be a collection of different players. Yeah,
you're right. Now I will say LSU does return their quarterback.
Yep.
They replenished their receiving core through the portal a pretty good bit. Took a couple transfers, I think, on their offensive line. Have Harold Perkins back on defense, kind of the leader on that defense. So they got some good players back. That's going to be a heck of a game.
Yes, good test.
To open up at Clemson's Death Valley.
Yep.
And, Clemson will be a slight favorite, but I'm not so sure that LSU won't win that game, to be honest with you. Simply
agree.
Because of what I'm saying. Clemson played Georgia last year, neutral site in Atlanta, and just got totally whipped.
Oh, yeah. Terrible.
Manhandled, totally whipped, physically whipped. They went on. Of course, they did lose a game to Louisville in the ACC, and they lose to South Carolina. And they were very fortunate. They were very fortunate to play for the ACC championship, remember, because they needed Syracuse to
upset Miami.
They needed Syracuse to beat Miami. Right. Yep. Miami had the big lead. Syracuse came back, rallied, and won. And then, of course, they beat SMU and had to have a long 64-yard field goal to do that. So I'm just saying they took some lumps along the way last season, and they had some good fortune that helped them get to where they got to. So just head up, man on man with LSU. I mean, LSU is LSU. They're an SEC team. Brian Kelly, I think, has circled this game for a long, long time, knowing that really the pressure's on him. The pressure's on Brian Kelly and LSU with his fan base because, lose this game and that gets them off to a rocky start. They expect to be in the playoffs. Now you got to recover from that. So the pressure is on him more than it is Dabo Swinney, because Dabo knows that, once he gets through that, he gets into ACC play eventually and things will lighten up for a little while. I mean, who's going to threaten them? You look around the ACC, maybe Miami's going to be better. They don't play Miami in the regular season. Is North Carolina going to be better? They go to Chapel Hill. How's NC State going to be? You're rolling the schedule there. Syracuse got a new quarterback. Georgia Tech. I think Georgia Tech truly might be a test for them, a noon game in Atlanta. Haynes King, excellent quarterback. Some of the other players they've got, they seem to have a confidence about them now going into this another season with their coach, who's an excellent coach. So Georgia Tech could be the one. I don't see Boston College threatening them at all. Now, Louisville, well, they do have SMU with their quarterback back.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
And Duke's a good one.
Duke,
That's
it's
home though. So that's
it's too, they had to go out and get a quarterback. They get Florida State, who knows how they will be. Now playing Louisville on a Friday night up there could be a test for them. Louisville always well coached, has another transfer quarterback who has some recruiting acclaim to him. And of course the season ender at South Carolina. So
it's a tough schedule. It's a good schedule.
Yeah. But it's not. I mean,
it's not SEC. But
no. It's not. But it's for the ACC. It's gotten a little bit. Yeah. The rest of the leagues has got to pick itself up. And SMU maybe has done so. Maybe North Carolina with Belichick. Syracuse was a big surprise last year, but their quarterback's gone. They're starting over at quarterback. In fact, I think they just named their starting quarterback today. I think I saw a tweet on that. So they should be able to navigate most of that without too much trouble.
Yeah, the win total kind of surprises me a little bit, but maybe not. I mean, it's 9.5. And so that's telling me, of course, I mean, what last year they lost 3 games, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Georgia, South Carolina, and Louisville.
And of course, those. So it's basically saying that they would have just about the same schedule. I mean, the same record. And so I guess it all depends on what you think about Clemson. And again, since I think they're going to be better, and I think with, again, even in the ACC, because I do think the ACC, especially the teams that they're facing, will be better. I think because last year was not very good, but I think that I do think, like you said, Georgia Tech's going to be better. Duke's going to be better. These games are going to be, I think, a little bit more tougher than maybe some other people might believe. But in saying that, if I think Clemson is going to be that type of team, then I don't think they're going to lose 3 games again. I think maybe they'll slip a couple of games. Who could be LSU. So that's the question I think you got to say to yourself is, do you believe in Clemson as a potential semifinal championship game team? Because if you don't, then take 9, go with the under. But if you think better of them like I do, then I think you got to take the over.
They're a team capable of winning them all. I mean, when you look at them, they're capable of going 12-0 and running the table. They certainly are. But they're also a team that has some holes in them and that could stumble a time or two along the way. So that's why I'm having a hard time, knowing what I know about them and hearing what I hear about them, convincing myself that they're going to run the table. In fact, like I said, I think LSU might get them in that opener. To be honest with you, now when I look at the locals, I'm a little bit more critical than most in looking at Clemson and South Carolina, simply because I don't want to be sucked into all the hype. You can get sucked when you're local and you're reading everything and you're looking at the videos and you can get sucked into the hype. I think a lot of national media, when they're evaluating teams from afar, they get sucked into the hype. They're looking at YouTube videos. They're looking at what's on X, and they see what the teams put out or what the writers from the websites put out, and they buy into it. They get sucked in. I try not to do that. So that's why I kind of look at it, I think, with more of a critical eye, maybe unfairly to some degree.
Oh,
so that's why I don't assume
it's better than a biased eye.
Right. That's why I don't assume in Clemson's case that they're just going to line up and blow everybody out, because they have a punting question. They have a right guard question. They have a safety question. They have a running back question. These are legitimate questions that you should know about if you're analyzing a team and how they're going to do this season, because all those play key roles. If their right guard turns out to be healthy and fine, no problem. If Adam Randall turns out to be the guy at running back and can handle it, no problem. If the punter averages 40 yards a punt, they won't have a problem there, So we'll see how it works itself out.
So if it's not Randall, then what do you think about what you've seen even so far? I mean, have you, because I looked at some tape on Davidson to see what kind of a player he was. He seems like he's a very patient running back, which I like. He seems like a very patient back, waits for the hole. And then looks like he's got good speed once he gets through the hole. So I think he's got some promise. But has there been enough talk at all about whether or not he's going to get a true opportunity to get, first team, second team reps?
Well, they lost a running back in camp in Jarvis Green to a knee injury. So he's not on your depth chart anyway, but he could have been up there in the mix for the backup. Ezi Omume right now would probably be your second guy. He's been in the program a couple of years, so he would probably be the number 2. Davidson is he's a freshman, had a lot of promise in high school, coming out of Virginia, a lot of talent, a lot of yards up there, playing in a private school league. I think he played in a private school league. I know he played at a private school, so I'm thinking he played in a private school league. Haynes is still coming off a knee from the championship game, so he's I don't know if he is ready and available just yet to help him out. And then you got Keith Adams in there as well, and they like him. They like him too. But that is a running back room totally void of experience.
Yeah,
zilcho.
Yes.
So there you go with another question mark for Clemson. Again, sure. Randall could be the guy. He could turn out to do a great job for him, and no problem. But there's nobody there. Mm-hmm. I think Adams has a few tackles. A few runs, has a little bit, backup type stuff. Nothing in prime time. There's no experience at the running back position whatsoever outside of what Randall had at the end of last year.
Okay, so as far
have I convinced you yet?
Of what, not picking Clemson to win the championship? And look, to be honest with you too, is that a lot of it has to do with the fact that this is going to be such a big year to analyze football, to see when it's all said and done, to look back and see how it worked. Because, and I know there was transfers last year and so forth, but we had never before have we seen this much turnover with the top teams. Because people are expecting, again, everybody's looking at Texas and Ohio State maybe ranked first and second. But wait a second. Ohio State lost everybody, like all these key players, including their quarterback. Texas lost tons of key players, including their quarterback, even though Arch comes back. So this is my point, is that I think there's so much opportunity for other teams to take that, that were maybe there last year, that have more experience, that have good coaching, that have good quarterbacks, to take that next step and to be a little bit more ready to take on, the role. So I'm going to be interested to find out whether or not, because look, if Texas and Ohio State end up in the championship game again at the end of the season, sure, I think from now on, every time we preview seasons, we are just going to have to take a look at, I know there's all like 15 new players, but that's the way it is, but I just kind of feel that I need to see it first. I need to see it. I need to see these quick put together teams in one season just win a championship first before I believe it's going to happen.
Yeah, it kind of shoots down the old theory that coaches used to tell us year after year. You have to bring players in, you have to develop them.
Yeah.
You have to bring them through your system. Now, it's a shopping spree out there, and you are getting veteran players. You just got to bring him into your system. I mean,
Yes.
look at South Carolina. The South Carolina's been one of the big buyers in the portal over the last few years, and they've taken some guys who were heavily recruited out of high school, your 5-star type guys, who did not live up to that at their first school, and now they've taken them and they're trying to rehabilitate their careers within their program, and they're hoping it's going to work out. Like Gabriel Brownlow Dindy from Texas A&M a couple of years ago, he was the big deal coming out of high school 3 years ago. But in 3 years at Texas A&M, he played in 8 games, and I think he had 4 tackles in 3 years at Texas A&M. That's the kind of, that's a project.
Yeah.
But you know what? They think he might be their starting defensive tackle. Monkel Goodwine, who they took from Alabama a couple of years ago. Same thing with Jeremiah Alexander at Clemson. I mean, he was if I'm not mistaken, a 5-star top recruited player coming out of high school, goes to Alabama, hardly sniffs the playing field.
Yeah.
He's come to Clemson as a defensive end. They've moved him to linebacker, and apparently he's taken off. It'll work for some. It won't work for all, but that's going to allow teams to fill their holes if you're not stubborn. Dabo is he's not going to, it's not going to be his Costco, the portal. He's going to be selective, and he's going to take 1 or 2. This year he took 3 because they felt like they needed another tall wide receiver. They felt like they needed another quality defensive end. And then Alexander was there, and help at linebacker was something you couldn't turn away. So they took those 3 guys. But he didn't take a punter, and people are saying he's taking a punter.
Right,
because he believes in who he's got. So,
well, let's hope that works out for them then. But I like that approach.
Well, it's like I tell punters, like I do my show this time of year from different schools, and the last couple of stops down in the Charleston area, we had 2 of the top punters on in FCS football, one at Charleston Southern and one at the Citadel. They're both FCS preseason All-American types. And I said to him, it's great to have great punters, but nobody wants to see you on the field, because if you're on the field, that means your offense isn't getting it done.
That is true.
Yeah.
If you're an offense like Clemson's, you hope that you only need to see him a couple times a game.
Exactly. Not at all. Or
not at all. Absolutely. I hear you. Okay. So give me a breakout player. I know you named some players here. I like to ask you this question each year. So give me a breakout player or 2 on both sides of the ball. Someone that's going to take that next step and,
well, of course you're talking mostly obviously skill position players there. So
wherever you want. Yeah. You want.
Harder to say the offensive line.
It is. Yeah.
I mean, and of course, in Clemson's case, they've got their entire offensive line back. So you talk about a breakout player. I mean, I guess you really have to look at Adam Randall.
Okay.
Is he going to be a breakout player?
What do you
running
think?
Back? I don't know.
Okay.
I just don't know. I mean, I don't ever see him. I can't ever see him in practice. When they do have open practice, you only get to see first 5 or 6 periods. You don't get to see any live action. So,
what about TJ Moore?
TJ Moore, wide receiver, yeah, but he had a pretty good year last year. So can he take it to another level?
Can he? Yeah,
I think so. He, and again, their receiving core looks good. You might want to consider Tyler Brown, because he was outstanding 2 years ago as a freshman, was hurt much of last year, so didn't contribute a lot. Now he's back healthy, and he's certainly capable. You look at his numbers from his freshman year. Yeah. But he was hurt. He was hurt most of last year. So he was an afterthought.
That's a good one.
He could be back. Defensively, well, I guess you'd have to say breakout year for them on the defensive side would have to be how
about Hampton?
Well, yeah, he was good last year once he took over that starting spot. So that would be one, but I think he was already I'd have to say, if you're looking for somebody somebody that hasn't accumulated a bunch of stats and been a big time contributor, it'd have to be one of those safety spots. I'd have to say, not so much Barnes, but maybe like a Kylan Griffin, who they're counting on right now at that strong safety spot. So I would say maybe keep an eye on him.
Okay.
See if he has a big year back there at the strong safety spot. That would be one. And probably I'd say maybe Will Helt, the transfer from Purdue, who had a good year last year at Purdue, had a number of sacks for the Boilermakers, and is going to get a shot to play a lot at Clemson in that defensive end rotation. I think, they're pretty much, Parker is pretty much established. You know what you got there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Maybe I should go Lawson because he's had such a good camp. Lawson could be your breakthrough guy. Yeah,
that's a good one
because he hadn't played very much. He's put on the size. He's apparently been very impressive in camp, so he could be your breakthrough guy on defense as well.
Okay, and have you made a decision on? Have you made your final prediction yet
for Clemson?
Yes.
Yeah, I've been sort of hovering around anywhere from 12-0 to 10-2.
Okay, so you're over 9.5.
Yeah. I'm still thinking. I haven't said it on my show yet. I may say it tonight when we start breaking things down. I may go with LSU, even with or without the points. I think LSU might beat them straight up in Clemson.
3.5. Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised. 3.5.
Nussmeier's a good quarterback.
Oh yes.
They got one of their transfer receivers is the speedster from Kentucky, who played against Clemson a couple of years ago in the bowl game. No. Starts with a B. BBB.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll find it.
Yeah, look in your LSU
depth chart.
Yeah. I know you got one.
Oh, yeah. Here, I'll pop it up right here.
I love your depth charts, by the way. They're awesome.
So do I. Thank you.
They're a great tool.
Oh, Barry and Brown.
That's it. Speedster. Yep. Really like him.
Okay.
Their center position or their offensive line. Okay, you got DJ Chester at left guard. You got a couple of transfers in there starting on the offensive line.
They got this guy could have a really big breakout.
Yeah, he was good. He was good last year for them, I believe. So
yeah,
LSU's going to be good. They're having a good camp. I think if Nussmeier doesn't turn it over, in that South Carolina game, they were fortunate to win in Columbia last year because they had Gamecocks had a couple of touchdowns that were called back on controversial penalties that would have totally turned that game in their favor. They ended up losing by one. Had a field goal attempt late, if I remember correctly, that missed. But LSU looks pretty good on paper to me. And from what I've read from some of their reporters covering them, they seem like they've had a pretty good camp.
Yeah, and it's a big year, like you said, for Brian Kelly. So you got Nussmeier one more year, and you've got to take advantage of that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yes, they're definitely. Who knows? I mean, everybody's talking about the Ohio State Texas potential championship game rematch. Maybe it's Clemson and LSU that we need to keep an eye on for a potential championship game rematch.
Could happen down the road.
Could happen.
Again, for either one of these teams, because of the so-called beauty of the playoffs now, their season is not going to be over by losing this game. I mean,
not at all.
I kind of liked it the old way. I liked it where you lose a game and, that was you go ahead and play out the rest of your schedule and get the best record possible. But back in the days when the national championship was decided on New Year's Day, you didn't have they were almost all undefeated teams, no more than one loss. You had more than one loss, you weren't playing on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
So, we've sort of watered it down here quite a bit.
The New Year's Day thing is they got to figure out another way to make it special again somehow, because it's just it's just another week now, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But look, I'm hoping that what we'll get now is better games in non-conference schedules because of what you just said. Now we're not so worried about losing the game in the and I don't have to put these cream puff schedules together, which still some of these teams, I mean, Indiana, I'm looking at their schedule again this year. I'm going, what are you guys doing? I mean, you scheduled anybody again? You just did it last year. I know it worked for you, but you got criticized for it left and right, and they're not going to give it to you again. So these teams have got to start putting their pre-conference schedules together a little bit tougher, and I think they will.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what form college football is going to take again, that's part of the issue with me is,
Yeah.
Decide on something and let it live for a little while. But here we are. I couldn't believe what I read over the weekend, that the Big Ten and the SEC have talked with the idea of up to 28 teams in the postseason. I mean, with 7 automatics for each of their leagues and on down the line.
Of course.
I mean, they so want to stuff it with SEC and Big Ten teams. It's ridiculous. And that's why we need a complete reformation of the administration of college sports, where there is an impartial single leader who makes these decisions and oversees things. When you have commissioners who are only concerned about their own league and their own TV deals, they're going to push everything to benefit them, which is what they're paid to do. But that's not necessarily good for the sport in total. So anyway, I'm not going to.
I don't think that stuff is going to work. I don't think that stuff's going to work anyway, because they don't own the entire all of college football. The Big Ten and the SEC.
Well, they think they do.
But they don't.
They certainly think they do.
So unless they can grease some of the other commissioners from the other conferences, which could happen. It's going to take a little bit more than just the 2 of them. All right. So you are going to start your really in-depth previews now, because I've of course got the links in the description of this video already of how you can check out the website. So you're doing the show every day. Is that still what's going on there, Phil?
Oh yeah. 6 to 8 every night, Monday through Friday. Okay. Every night, Monday through Friday, 6 to 8. Now, what I've been doing last 2 weeks is, like I said, I'm visiting the other schools around the state that aren't South Carolina and Clemson.
Okay.
And we have the head coach on and a couple of players. Like tonight, I'll be at North Greenville University, which is a D2 school in the New Carolinas Conference. So I'll be there. Then tomorrow night, I go to Anderson University. I was just along the coast last week. Oh, yeah, something we've done for years. It's my favorite time of the year to do that. I love meeting with these coaches and these other players. Look, they work just as hard and practice just as hard and plan just as hard. They just don't get paid as much as the others. So they just don't get the attention. But we like to have them on and chop it up with them.
Okay. Well, there you go, Phil. I look forward to hopefully getting the opportunity to talk to you during the season, and maybe even a long playoff run. Like I said, should be fun. And I appreciate your time as always.
You still got that big blue marker behind you back there, huh? Don't you?
I do. That's not going anywhere.
Shouldn't you put a big X across it or something? Or
no?
Huh?
You're forgetting the one over here, though.
You can't really still believe you're the national champions, do you?
Of course I do. Of course we do.
All right.
With the way college football is, oh yeah.
Okay. No apologies for how y'all got that done, huh? Okay.
Not at all.
Let me send you some signals. I'm gonna send you some. Okay, you getting my signals now? I got this. I went to Northern Illinois.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I scouted Northern Illinois for you. And
okay, I have no idea what you're talking about. Thanks, Phil.
All right, buddy. See you.